Tehnopol's event that we created together with Mikaels Labs. And tonight we have two really cool guys here who will talk a little bit more on how to not fuck up your startup. Intriguing topic, and I can see that many of you would like to know more about it. I hope that many of you are also founders who are not going to do anything that others have done and are just like really stupid but easy mistakes. Here today are Harry and Owais, who will go through a couple of basics, as well as share some tips and tricks on how to really rock it as a founder. So, Harry, Owais, are you ready?
Yeah. Yes.
The floor, and if you need, then also the mic is yours. Just some practical things. If the people in the back cannot hear you, just let us know and we will use the mic. But before that, we just
can anybody not hear me? If everybody can hear me, then I will just do it without.
Yeah. All right.
Good.
Proper.
It's going to be a painful presentation. So basically, I will speak about 20 minutes about my experience. I will cover like really basic stuff, and then my co-founder, CTO, will go into more like advanced topics and cover more advanced stuff.
First fuck up.
Yeah, first fuck up. Okay.
And that's how you solve it.
So I will start from the beginning. When I was like a little boy, I really liked to like build stuff, sell stuff, do all kinds of things to make a little bit of money. And I have lots of those stories, but one that I remember the best is a kind of lottery startup I did. I was a 12-year-old boy, and there was like a family reunion or like big gathering, and I was thinking, okay, let's do a lottery business, sell everybody lottery tickets, and then half of the money I'm making I'm going to pay off to the winner, and everything else I put into my pockets. So, and then my grandmother pulled the first lottery ticket out of the basket, and obviously this was the jackpot. So, so all the money was gone. I was bankrupt after 5 minutes of doing my business. So this is where I got really good like basic understanding of financial management. So a little bit time went by. I was in high school having like summer job in a printing company, and I was thinking, okay, I could do this shit as well. So I started my own printing company in age 17. It was my first like actual registered company. It was called ADM, and what we did is basically like business cards, all kinds of prints, all this kind of stuff. And obviously, I started in 2007, so next year was 2008 when everybody cut down their printing and advertising budgets. So basically, after first year operation, I was like, okay, nobody needs my product anymore. But then I did my first pivot. I was thinking, okay, if I can't sell those printing products to businesses anymore, then I will start selling them to private people. And I rebranded to Print for Home. And we started selling all kinds of interior print products like canvas and like roller blinds, and we did like lots of innovative products that nobody else did in the market. And this leads to the next fuck up story. So before Christmas we sold, it was like basic website where you can upload a picture and then we print it out and ship it for you. And before Christmas, obviously everybody wants to buy this kind of product for the Christmas present. We sold like over 1,000 products. Obviously, we had only experience manufacturing like 10 products a month, and we had all these orders in, prepayments done, and we were like, okay, let's try to produce as much as we can. And then the next problem happened. Like we wanted to deliver those products, but all the logistics companies before Christmas shut down their logistics basically. So there was no way to deliver those products to the customers. I still remember going around with a taxi in the city of Tallinn and delivering as many products as possible. But basically, yeah, like I felt like cringe. I probably ruined lots of Christmases. But the next few months we refunded, lots of money and kind of got out of this mess. And then I was thinking, okay, like I'm too young to do this stuff, so maybe I should go get a job, learn a little bit, and see what can come next. And then I had the pleasure to work for really good companies, in IT companies, advertising companies, in Europe, in North America. So I got lots of experience, and I really recommend young founders to go work, especially if you can go work for a startup. This would be the best way to avoid lots of fuck-ups later on. And then because I was born to be in business, and I'm not really good employee. Then in age of 26, we started lots of companies. First one was elevator startups, which is like incubator program. Then Postpal grew out of this, which is a longer story. Frank came out of this, which we took to US. And today I'm building another startup called Mikaels with Owais, my co-founder. And that's kind of interesting story, so maybe I'll tell a little bit more about this. So basically 2 years ago, me and Owais met in the United States. And Owais was just leaving his startup, and I was like, hey, move to Estonia, let's do something together. And the idea was to build a software development company, which operates so that we do lots of programming in Karachi, Pakistan, and we have like management and project management in Estonia. In the beginning, everybody thought we were crazy, so people like, we have tried it, it doesn't work, don't do it. But then we kind of on a micro level mapped out all those problems, why it doesn't work, and solved them one by one. And about like a year ago, we got it right, and we've been starting to grow super fast after that. Today we have 50 employees, we'll be soon to 100 employees company. And we work with lots of startups, so our mission is to work with both large startups, but also like smaller startups. So even if you're like a man and a dog, you're welcome to our place, and we'll help you build your product. But now to the topic. This is kind of how the startup journey looks like. There is, an idea, then there is some sort of a team, then there is some sort of understanding what they have to build. And most startups, because we've been working with lots now, die in this kind of like problem solution, product market fit place. And people who get past that are really likely to be successful. So let's start with the first one. So founder with an idea. We all have these friends. Like I have many of those friends who every time we go have a beer, he will tell me that he will start a startup, he will quit his high-paying corporate job, but he will never do it, and I've been hearing for 10 years. So that's the first place where people fuck up. They just don't do it. Like it's the easiest way to fuck up. And like you just need to do it. I don't know what else to say here. But then there's this kind of next phase. When you already have a team, lots of people get like 100,000, 200,000 investments. And in this place, like most people, like there's usually like either you're not really motivated to do what you do, you're happy to have this money, you go to conferences. Like I see this a lot, that people spend more money on conferences than actually building the product. Or there is like serious lack of skill. You're trying to do something that you're not just right person to do. And then when we're getting to the next phase, it's we call it like problem solution fit. So you understand what the problem is, you think you can solve it, you don't have a product yet, but you're kind of like getting there. And this is, I think, the most crucial part. If you're in this phase, then you need to really like be honest to yourself. You need to listen to the customers. There is so much valuable information you can get from the customers, just opening your ears and letting the information come in. And then there is this magic place where everybody wants to get, and this is product market fit. Like lots of people ask me all the time, like, how do I know if I have product market fit or not? And my answer is always, like it's just everything goes bananas. Like sales goes bananas, product development, like you need to, like it just goes crazy. So you will definitely know when you have product market fit. But most companies don't get into this point. And if you get into this point, then there's high chance that you will be successful. So what are the key learnings? I would say quantity over quality. It's maybe sounds a little bit weird, but I don't think you should spend 5 years trying to make something work that doesn't work. So if it doesn't go, just move on to the next idea, try again. Like if you're, developer, you could easily start like 10 startups in 1 year. Every month you start something new, try out, and once you feel like it goes, then you might commit to this. You need to start early because it takes time. Like most people fail their first, second, and third startup, so you should start early. And don't fall in love with your idea. I think it's like a good one. And like do something, go to the incubator, do something. Like that's also a place where people fail. So, like I made this presentation last night, so I'm like looking and going. So this is like now a really important part, and minimum viable product. Owais will probably tell more in the technical side, but you need to not spend too much money on it. Like we have had customers who spend ridiculous amount of money building this minimum viable product, but sometimes it can be easy as websites or just front-end solution or something you can actually go to the customer and show it instead of spending 2 years, 1 million euros to build something. And fake it till you make it. Like nobody later comes back to you and says that your MVP was shit, I'm not going to be your customer. So like make as little as you can and make it happen. And now, there's a founder, there's MVP, then it's getting already more exciting because you can go to investors, you can go to incubators, you can do crowdfunding, you can go ask money from your mother, like you can do all these things. And but before you have this MVP, there is no point to really waste time on investors because they say yeah, but nobody gives you money. And I added also list of top angel investors in Estonia here, so you can download it. So our mission is to create a world where every business has equal access to reliable developers. So if anybody needs help, feel free to reach out to me after this, or email me, or call me, or come to my office. And from here, I give word to my co-founder and CTO, who will tell you more specific stuff about IT development. Thank you. And we take questions after both presentations are done.
Hello. I think I'll use a mic. I cannot speak as loud as Harry. Hello. 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 So I am a geek and a programmer, so I've toned this down to as much human language as possible. How many developers are in this room right now? Okay, you guys will be bored. Because this is for everyone else. So basically, when we are talking about tech startups, usually startup founders have an idea which relates to human problems, and they want to build something out of it. And if you're not from an engineering background and you don't have a developer's mindset and you don't have friends in the development area, software development side, then basically you think that I have this idea and someone will just take a magic wand, do this, and I have a product. But that doesn't happen, and you learn it the hard way. So I will talk about a few things that you might want to know in advance from the human perspective about this developer geek world where they don't let you enter. So just to give you a perspective of how to deal with these challenges. So first, a little introduction about myself. I have been following Simon Sinek and his philosophy about start with why, and why is the why and purpose so important. So I recently articulated this statement, why I do what I do. And my basic mission is to help people understand technology and other humans so that we can build better businesses and lives together. And that basically drives me to work, to socialize, to help people and that's what gets me out of bed. Who am I? I have been, if I define myself as in terms of who, so I'm a very curious person, especially about technology and computers. So I've been doing, like the child that you think about will break the toys apart and build circuits out of that and light a light bulb at the age of 5. So I've been that kind of person, and then opening up the CPU, trying to understand what's going inside, and then eventually ruining up the computer and then getting shit for this from my parents. That's why we just bought it for you and then you open it up. So since '97, I've been introduced to this DOS, and we didn't have mice then, so it's just keyboard DOS interface. And I'm originally from Karachi, Pakistan. So whatever the West has, we get it after 10 years. So it's like we lag behind in these technological advancements. So we got the internet, like I got on the internet in 2000 something, 2002 or 3. So before that, just experimenting, buying these compact discs, installing software, trying to learn things. Then same as Harry told, I just got into this a little later. When I was 18, I started to do some online website development things for people, and also found this very specific niche that was for the Pakistani market to trade e-currencies. So we did not have PayPal, we still don't in Pakistan, which is very sad. But at that point, people were doing some online freelancing or earning from paid-to-click sites, and they had these balances in their Alert Pay or PayPal or Payoneer, all these e-currencies, but they could not withdraw it. So I thought of this idea that why don't I start trading them? So I would take balances in my e-currency account and then have them credited into their mobile accounts. So as a balance that you use for prepaid SIMs. So I started this. It went well initially, but then somebody introduced this service that you can withdraw to Pakistan through bank account or checks, and then it went down. So that's when I learned about this fuck up, that as a programmer or as a developer, it's not easy for us even to start a tech business because we don't have an eye on the market. We are more focused on the product, obsessed with the code, the quality of things, making it pixel perfect. But we are not thinking as a salesperson, as a marketing guy. So then after that, I started other things. I did some youth development programs in Pakistan, organizing events. Then I was also, in 2009, I started programming. After 2 years, I started working for a software company. And after about 1.5 years, I quickly understood that this is not for me. Like, I'm always late to work because I don't want to work in the morning. And because of that, my salary gets deducted. And then I cannot leave for home if my work is done because there's an 8-hour rule. Pakistani companies are very strict about these things. You have to give 9 hours in the office and you have to sit there. And so this culture was not for me. So I started freelancing. And freelancing, back then it was Odesk, now it's Upwork. So with Upwork, I started making lots of money. And as a programmer, I also improved my skills because I would take challenging projects, learn on the go through Google, and then basically deliver the project. So I've not had any formal IT education. I'm a commerce graduate, but I learned everything that I know from Google, basically. Then in 2012, once I got into freelancing, I was thinking that, okay, this is easy, but I can get more work, and then I can hire an intern who I paid like peanuts and keep most of the money to myself and then get the work done and submit the freelance project. This is super easy business model. Why didn't anybody think of this? And after 6 months, I found out why nobody else was doing it. Because getting work out of interns is hell, especially in programming. Because the way you can do it, you cannot expect a junior programmer to do it in the same way. And then you don't check the quality of the code and then you get shit from the client, then your Upwork payments get cancelled and you are out of business. So then I started freelancing, trying to hire more senior people. It was like a big hustle. I started a software house, and then during that software house development or creation, it was a 25 employee company, and we were doing work from Pakistan for US, UK, Canada, all these English speaking countries, which gave work on Upwork. We did not understand at that point that a good company who wants to pay well doesn't go to Upwork for getting work done. So we found the worst of the worst clients who wanted to take like give minimum amount of budget and get work done, and had no clue what to do. So we were struggling for 2 years. We just did this. At that moment, I had an idea back in 2012 for a product which I couldn't develop because of lack of resources and time. So later I talked to my co-founders about this idea that maybe we can build this product, because I see in these movies and series, Silicon Valley, that you make a product, you go to US, you raise funding, and you're a millionaire. So simple. And in Pakistan, this VC concept and everything was so new. Nobody knew about this, nobody to guide about this. And we eventually started creating a product for website development, so a content management system, which was intuitive to use. And the idea was very simple. Right click, you just right click on the web page, and you can edit your content right there. No admin panels or anything. So in my head, I was like, this solves everybody's problem. Everybody can have a website, they can, like, this is perfect product market fit. So I was in this, the slide Harry showed inside my mind. I was like, this is the moment. Then we applied for this tech incubator where I met Harry, tech accelerator in Colorado. So we went there with the product, and there I learned about the importance of purpose. And not just having this purpose inside your head as a founder, but also the importance of teaching people or getting this purpose across in the team. So my co-founders and I had different purposes with the business. And eventually the partnership fell away. And we were just struggling creating product features that we thought the market needed. And we were just struggling with getting the MVP out and trying to raise investment, and it fell apart. And I went back to Pakistan, and then basically Harry called me and like, want to do another startup? I said, okay, I'll come to Estonia. So yeah, this was a story how I got here. Yeah, this is a disclaimer. So if you can find a CTO or a technical co-founder, do that. This presentation is solely for people who are unable to find a CTO or a co-founder. So if you are willing to do all this, deal with this technical mumbo jumbo yourself, then basically I can tell you about a few things that can help you. Okay, so as Harry talked about MVP, usually what happens with MVP is if you do it right, you build this minimum viable product that you show your customers or your investors, and everybody's happy, and they say, okay, here's $1 million, go build it. Or your customers say, yes, we want to use it. Now you have a few hundred waiting customers ready to use your product. But when you come back to your product team and you say, okay, let's scale it up to 100 people. They say, you said you wanted MVP, not a product that people will actually use. Yeah, but can't we just scale it up so that 100 people can use it? No, that's not possible. So we have to scrap all this and create a product from start. So, okay, and how much time? 3 to 4 months. What about the customers? They can wait. Because the tech people don't see customers, they just see code. So, one thing that you can keep in mind when going towards the MVP, before starting the MVP, is that inform the person who is building this about your best case scenarios. So if this MVP goes successful, we might have this many users in the next 3 months, 6 months. so that the person who's designing the architecture of it, not just starting coding, can keep this into account that, okay, we will need to add more features, we will need to scale up the servers, we will need to basically have this code base ready for real life problems. If you don't do that and you say that, yeah, we need some prototype in just 1 week, the person will do that, but the quality of that will not be scalable. So it's very important to keep in mind before starting the MVP that you are informing or planning for the next part. And then you will have a less garbage MVP, because there will be no perfect MVP that fits right into your actual product. But you will have to, you can reuse most part of it. Not all of it, but most part of it. So, building your product development team when you don't have a CTO or a technical co-founder. Yeah, values versus technical skills. This part is very important when you're hiring your first few technical team members, because there will be so many people that match your criteria. You can get them from some other remote location, you can relocate them, you can get outsourcing partners. There are many ways to do this. And one thing you need to understand is that these people should be on the same level of values as you are. If you're thinking about, for example, Facebook's example, the idea was to connect people, and the initial people in the management board, they left when the company was about to be acquired. People were asking to buy the company, and Mark Zuckerberg said that I don't want to sell this company, I want to connect people. But these people were in it for the money, so they were saying no, we have to sell it. And when he refused, then these people basically left. So people should know what values you have when you are hiring, especially in the initial phases. The first few cornerstones of your product development team should be aligned with this. Yeah. So in programming, you will find so many unpronounceable words with Python specialist, and then Django and Flask, and in PHP there will be Laravel, Symfony, all sorts of frameworks. But when you're hiring the initial few people, look for generalists, people who can adapt, who can learn, and who can take care of most of your tech product functions. Not just someone who can write really good back-end code, and when you talk about making changes in the front end, he says, I don't do front end. This will be a problem. So look for full stack people, but not just full stack with the skill set, but full stack from mind as well, who are willing to take on work that they have not done, that they think they don't have the skills for, because you can learn anything on the internet if you're a programmer. You can learn a new language in a few days. You can make changes in software that has been done by somebody else. It's not that hard. It takes time, but the willingness of the person should be there. If the willingness is not there, then this person will just say, this is not my job. And when you hired me as a PHP developer, this is JavaScript, I don't do JavaScript, hire somebody else. So look for these generalists. Then look for assertive people who can tell you no in your face. Because as a startup founder, you will meet somebody for drinks, and this guy will say, why don't you have this feature on your website? And you will forget about the product market fit, what the customers want. You'll say, yeah, it's a cool feature. I should have an AI chatbot on my website. And then you come back to the product development team and say, I want an AI chatbot. Look for people who say, no, we don't need an AI chatbot. Right now, we are doing this, this, and this. If we build an AI chatbot, it will take us this much time, we will be behind this. So a person who can argue back with you, not just a developer who says, okay, boss has told me to build an AI chatbot, he leaves about all the other stuff, start building the chatbot. Next week, you come back with other features. Oh, I was building the AI chatbot that you told. Yeah, but with those features. Yeah, but that was not possible. Why did you not tell me? And these are the fuck-ups that generally happen if the person is not willing to say no to your face. Then usually programmers are passionate about code. They are not so fond of people, and they don't want to listen to customers, users, their behavior, user experience. But there are people who are founders and builders who are creative in the sense that they want to build the products. Once they're aligned with your purpose, they want to build products that people will use. The products that are focused towards user experience rather than how well the code is written. So find people who are obsessed with the user experience part, because that's where the money is, that's where your growth is. Nobody is opening your source code and checking how well it is written and how well the comments are in the initial phases. You need a good user experience for the product to grow. Yeah, don't do technical assessments yourself, please. When you're hiring, don't hire yourself. Because it's so easy for a programmer to bullshit in an interview if he gets the sense that the other person doesn't know about programming. And you will end up hiring a person who doesn't know anything. And we have seen stories, we have experienced stories like this, not taking any names. But there have been so many times when founders have hired some friend's cousin who he thinks is a programmer and have heard good things about. And then he interviews, asks a few questions, okay, what are you thinking about your next 2 years and how good are you at leadership? And all these questions, he says, yeah, it looks like a nice guy. And then he builds some product, leaves, somebody else comes in and says, who was this guy who did this code? So, I don't know, I didn't see the code. It's like, I didn't assess the skills. So take help. Get a consultant for some hourly rate. Ask a friend who already is into software development. Ask for help when you're hiring your first people at least. And then once you have done this, you trust these people that they have technical skills, they can do the hiring for you. So this pain is just for the initial 1 or 2 people. The money and time you invest in this, it pays off in the long run. Yeah, Agile. How many of you have heard this word, Agile? Yeah. Actually, when we talk about Agile development, it's now used as a jargon for do whatever I tell you without any plan, and don't ask me about when, how, and what. Now Agile has become synonymous with this. We want to do Agile development. Don't you guys offer Agile development? Agile is not what you think. It's a software development strategy. It has processes, it has a whole system that you need to follow. You cannot just cherry pick the convenient parts out of Agile. So developers need specifications, plan, and without that, they fell into chaos and they will deliver shit outcomes. So that brings us to the next, first this communications part. So this happens from both sides. My primary role for many years has been as a chief translating officer as well, because I speak both human and geek. So this guy will tell me something that the APIs are having a problem and there's a problem with the database and relationships. I said, okay, yeah, it will take time. So when you put the salespeople and the developer together, it's a very fun conversation to watch. Because these people are telling about their problems, which they're facing with the code and the system. And these people are telling about their problems, which they're facing with the client and the users. And they don't speak the same language. So communication, you have to teach people to come on the same page, and you have to discipline yourself to speak to programmers in a way that they understand, and then ask them to paraphrase what did they understand. And when they explain something to you and you don't understand it, tell them back that, okay, I don't know about these things, what APIs and what JSON data you're talking about, but when can we expect this to be done? And what are the challenges you're having? how can I help you? Do you need some expert help from somebody? Can I connect you with someone? So start speaking their language that they trust. This is the biggest point of fuck up that I've seen so far. We think that just because we have had the idea, we are the product owner and we are the project manager and we will create this product with these 3 workers who seem like factory workers building sofas. And I'll just tell them that, okay, I need a sofa, this size and this size, do it for me. And we then go mingle with the founders and investors, and we have so much else to take care of. I cannot babysit these developers. I have so much else to do. This is a big problem. There needs to be a product owner, somebody who has an eye on the product development, somebody who can create processes, who can assess the timelines, who can prioritize things, that these features we need to do right now, these features we can do later, this is how much time it would take. A person who is communicating to the business people and to the developers in between. So if you think you're the product owner, then you cannot do anything else until the product ownership responsibilities are fulfilled. You cannot be part-time product owner and part-time salesperson. There needs to be a dedicated person for this. And if you can find this person, this can be a junior as well. There are so many methodologies that you can follow in terms of project development. Kanban style boards are pretty common these days. Trello style, where you have backlog, you move it to the working right now and the next week plans. So all these processes need to be created, but there needs to be, again, one product owner that takes care of this. Then comes a more technical topic. It's resource optimization for the product. So you guys must have heard this by now, that there are servers and you have hosting, and then you have some kind of tools that we need to buy for CI, CD, or like some things that we need for scaling up the product. So this thing comes in when the user base is getting bigger and you are actually scaling up the product. So the product development might be at halt or it's moving slow. But still, if users are growing, you have to take care of these parts and give the people or the development team an understanding of what you're expecting in the near future about the product. So is the product going to have 100,000 users? Are you going to an exhibition that will bring at one point thousands of users? Because they need to prepare for this. They will need to prepare the resources for this. Otherwise, you have production level fuck-ups, where you are at an exhibition or some event like this, and you put a link on these slides that go to this website, and then 100 people go on this website and the website crashes. Because you did not inform the team about this, that you're going to do this. So you need to know that resources in the MVP phase, they are at a minimum because the cost is at a minimum. And there's no point in scaling it up because you don't have users. But when you're expecting users, these resources need to be aligned for that time. And the technical team needs to be informed about these. Okay, so this brings us to the flip side of this fuck up. I've seen startups where the CEO or the salesperson will keep telling people that, oh, we are expecting these 100,000 users and 3 big deals I'm closing, and there will be so much integrations and this. But they're not concrete plans. Somebody said, yeah, I'll look into it. And then you come back to the production team and say, oh, we are expecting a surge of users in the next 2 months. Then basically they freak out. How are we going to handle it? And they optimize the resources for this. But that's where you have to mention the probability of this. So we are expecting this, but it's not concrete. I will tell you when it's concrete. So keep them in the loop of what's happening on the business side so that they can prepare the product for this. Yeah, when it comes to using tools, Jira and GitHub, Trello, Teamwork, there are so many collaboration tools that teams just want to go into. And when you're in this kind of a startup community, you get to hear about this new feature or new tool that somebody is using, and you want to quickly use that with your team as well. But understand this, that there's a learning curve, and the people who are working in your team, they have their day jobs, what they're doing. They have their future plans, what they have to do. And if you bring in a new tool and implement it as a company policy, they have to spend time learning it, they have to spend time getting used to it. So if there is no problem that you want to solve, avoid using new tools. So how do you select the collaboration tools? So do you want to use Jira, or do you want to use GitHub or Trello or what? So the easiest way for this is to think analog for a while. Think if you were doing this as a room full of 10 people who are working together, how would you do it? What is the actual human process involved in this cycle of development, for example? So a salesperson comes with a new feature request. Then this feature request needs to be converted into specifications and given to the developer. Then there needs to be a status report. So now all these touch points that you're thinking about in an analog situation, you can write them down and then see which tool fulfills most of these important parts. So you should not obsess about automation in the beginning, because automation in the beginning is overkill. And as much as possible, avoid it. But wherever it's absolutely necessary, then there are so many tools that you can use for this. Yeah, development resources. If a developer comes to you and says that we want to buy Amazon Web Services Cloud, and we want to have these new servers for our product, ask these 3 simple questions and you will have clarity. Don't try to get into technicalities, because you will just run into circles with this. So ask them, why do we need it? When do we need it? And what will happen if we don't get it? The last part is very important, because they can have all sorts of reasons in their head that we need this, the product needs this, and they will want it as soon as possible. But ask them from a business perspective, this last part is very crucial. What if we don't do it? What if we don't go to Amazon Web Services? Then they will give you the exact consequence that our servers will crash in 2 months. Okay, then it's a business problem and we need to solve it. Can we solve it in another way? Then you have a discussion about it. Okay, last part is a bit more on the fun side. Don't pretend to know that you know about what the developer is doing or talking about, because developers can understand it that if you're just using jargons and putting API word in different sentences randomly, then they will know. And then they stop trusting you as a leader. So if you don't know, just pretend you don't know, or just tell that you don't know. Don't try to pretend that, I know about all these API stuff and all these databases. I've seen many products and I can create websites as well. Don't do this. It's annoying. Yeah, don't try to overcome this or try to boost your ego by telling them that their job is simple and your job is much more complicated. Programming is not easy as well. People have spent time understanding, learning, and frustrated nights looking for a semicolon in the code. That was just misplaced. So we have been through a lot of shit to get to this point in programming. Just as you guys, when I say you guys, it's like non-technical people, you guys have been through shit in your own domains, learning marketing, sales, entrepreneurship, all these kind of things the hard way. So have programmers gone through this process. So don't tell them that it's very easy. Why can't you do it? It's just a button. Put it there and it will start working. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, this is happening a lot in these times. Programmers are continuously forced to give estimates about everything, and we give this analogy back to people that if you come to me and say, how much time would it take to build a house? I cannot tell you, because I don't know the area, and there are so many different things that I would first need to understand. What kind of house, what material are you using, all these things. But still, programmers, obviously for business purposes, are forced to give estimates. And when we give in to this and we say, okay, it will take 2 weeks, but this is an estimate, I cannot be sure, blah, blah, blah. All these things are just ignored, the last part. And then confirmation comes and, yeah, you have 2 weeks, build this. You said it will take 2 weeks. So estimates are not deadlines. Actual deadlines come after you actually research on the feature or what we need to do. Then we can give more accurate estimates. Yeah, don't fall for this one. If you hear something from a developer, he says, yeah, we're using this and not this. Don't ask vague questions. Okay, so what's the difference? Because you showed interest yourself that you want to know this information. And this person has been holding it back for so long to find someone who he can just throw out this information on and look like an expert. And now you'll just cut him off in between. No, I don't want the technical details. I just want to know the difference. Like, that's what I was explaining. So it's a confusing situation if you ask vague questions. Instead, ask questions that relate to business. So what will be the benefit of this? How will the users benefit from this? Will it save us time? Will it be more efficient? Ask specific questions that relate to the business side rather than asking vague questions that will confuse developers and they will start answering, and then when you shut them off or start using your phone or look some other way, they think that you're not giving them value. So it destroys the trust between people and the communication. This I've been saying for 10 years now, and still it happens. When a developer is coding, this is basically what's happening. And then you say hi, and the code goes away. And you say, never mind. And the developer forgets what he was doing. So if it's not urgent and not important, try to leave the developer alone at least when he's coding. So just try not to even be in the vicinity if you can. Give him some quiet place, because every programmer works like this. There's no programmer who's just talking to people and then writing 3 lines of code and then talking to people and writing 3 lines of code. The process is always like this. So try to give them space. Yeah, so I've stigmatized and stereotyped developers so much. Now I'm coming back. Developers are humans too. You can connect them on a human level, connect with them. When they're not working, you can go out with them, have a drink, talk about life. Try to build trust with them, and especially as a founder, when you have the few, 2-3 people in your team, it's very important that you keep telling them stories of why you are doing this, what's the next plan, how the business will evolve, so that they stay connected with your business. Don't treat them as some person who just gets you a product. Make them part of the team. This is where the creativity will come in. You tell them stories about a sales meeting, about a user experience, about a customer feedback, and this goes into their head, and when they're creating a feature, they will come up with ideas. But if you don't talk to them, don't connect with them on a human level, then these things, basically you're giving away these benefits of this person. Purpose, as I talked about, it's very important to have this purpose in everybody's mind, especially in the initial team. and respect their skill set. It takes time to put a button on a website, to make a database, to create APIs, to do all sorts of things that you see are just, okay, it just created a pop-up. But it takes time if you're doing it right. So respect this, they will give respect back to you. Technology, what you see in front of you, it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of effort that goes behind it. So if you want to deal with developers, try to connect with this part and just acknowledge the existence of this part as well. You don't need to go there to understand it. You just can connect with them on the user side, on the things that you see from the business perspective, and just acknowledge it that they do the work on the back end as well. Thank you. I think we're going to take.
Yeah, we are happy to take some questions.
Yeah.
If, there's lots of information game, like in really short time. But maybe we can clarify something or answer any questions. Technical questions to us, and non-technical I would be happy to answer.
Yeah, quick one. Are you just the incubator for also investors, or you connect to startups with investors, or you just incubator?
Like,
Mikaels Labs.
yeah, we build stuff. We are a software development company. So we work with lots of Estonian startups. We help build them MVPs, we help build full products, but we also work with enterprise level clients. So we're a software development company, but we have I would say, a little bit different approach than any other company in Estonia who's doing it.
Okay.
Excuse me?
Yes.
I would like to ask, if you're a founder and you are not so good on the technical aspect,
Mhm.
so usually it's always advised that you have a technical co-founder who has to deal with the technical aspect,
Yes.
and there's the founder who has to deal with the business aspect.
Mhm.
So if you are the idea person, you are the founder, you can deal with the idea, you have the big picture of what you're looking at, and you don't have a technical partner. So how do you, or basically those you have seen don't have the same values like you have. So how do you attract the right technical person to
Yeah.
move forward?
I think it's, like I called Owais and said, come to Estonia. So sometimes it's that easy. But I think it's, network with people, get to know them, like conferences, like hackathons, find places where developers hang out, and then like tell them why you are doing what you do. Don't tell them, I want to build this product. Nobody gets excited about products, but explain them why you want to do this and how it will, change the world. And then if you get somebody excited, he will join you. The other way is if you have money, you can hire people to, help you. So that's why we're also going to exist, because there's huge lack of developers in this region of the world, and most people can't find a technical co-founder. So then we're going to jump in and be this technical co-founder.
Like your organization now, you can help a founder in building such minimum viable products?
Yes.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Since I work with startups on a daily basis, then I see it both from the startup side and both from the investor side. So the struggle it really is to find a good developer or a CTO. Whereas the investors really value the strong core team, and then you sort of provide the solution where a developer joins the team for a short period of time. Then how would you say that the investors think about it? Like, do your developers become part of team members, and then do they join the teams later, or do they still come back to home base?
Yeah. The ideal scenario is to have technical co-founder. That's that's the ideal scenario, because you can outsource the programming, but you need to have IT guy in the team if you do technology. But like if you build MVP, I don't think you need to have technical co-founder.
Okay.
So because MVP usually is few months project, get it done, you go to customers, you get feedback, and then maybe later on somebody will join you. But also like we have clients that have used us for over a year as their technical co-founder, and these developers that work full time with these customers, they're gonna become part of this customer's team. Like for some people, we also bring these people to Estonia, and like so they can spend time together. And end of the day, only difference is that money their paycheck comes from us instead of from the client. But
Have you also had the cases where the developer actually joins the team?
no cases yet. Like our developers are pretty happy, in our culture. So, but they're open to that. So I'm like, if somebody wants to start their own business, I would support it with both hands.
How big is your organization from the past?
We have 50 people right now, but we're growing pretty fast.
And how do you allocate your resources? Because with 50 people is like a limited pool of talent for different projects. Let's say at one point you have like 1,000 projects at the same time. How do you manage that? Because you have to deliver to the client on time. And if you take a lot of projects at the same time, well, that would be a really huge fuck up for you.
Yeah, so we kind of understand this scenario. As I told about the previous company that I started. So the problem was also this, that there are a lot of projects and then the resources have to be managed in this. So we have learned from this fuck up already. So we try to start projects when we see that the resources can be allocated. So we manage from both sides. And when we see that this kind of buffer is getting shorter, then we hire more people for this. So we increase the project team. And right now we have two models. One is the project model that is only for bigger companies, where the project management is in Estonia and they manage the whole project from here with the client. And then we have this resource model where the developer is given full time to the clients. So the developer is working only for one client from the company. So it's kind of a balance between them.
Okay, but so far you have not hit like a brick wall of saying client, no, we can't do that because we don't have the resources.
We don't say we can't do that. We say that we can start in a month.
Okay.
So we manage it in this way. And then because Karachi has such huge talent pool already, it's around 30 million people, one city. So, and a lot of people are into IT development. The culture is quite good in this IT part. So we can quickly hire people as well for this. And they become part of the team or they start working on the projects.
There's a company here, Hydra. They did a thing a couple of times. They organized the Dota 2 tournament in-house, which was really nice. It's a game. My question to you about the culture, and I know drinking and hanging out and talking about life is nice. Do you guys have people who play games in your company or companies? As part of the culture?
We're not doing these specific things right now. It's kind of evolving into a culture. So we are doing hangouts and different celebration days. So we're slowly getting there, basically.
All right.
We're like 1-year-old company basically. So.
No, just nerding out.
How do you keep up with the time difference? Because
It's 3 hours right now.
only.
Yeah, and it was 2 hours before this daylight saving.
Okay, so
And usually our developers who work full time for a client, they can adapt to this, work environment. So, people in Estonia like to sleep in too. So.
It's not that far as people think.
Yeah, it's in this kind of the same line. The time zone.
Okay. Yep.
Final thing, you mentioned a question about questions. You mentioned interviews.
Yeah.
So I'm not a developer, but I did host a private World of Warcraft server when I was a teen. So that's my experience stopping right there. But I'm completely out of touch. I can say application programming interface, hopefully I'm correct, right? But I know what it's supposed to do, I think at least. But what are the questions that you think are good interview questions? For instance, this magical beast full stack developer. I know that it actually exists or not, or it's one of those terms that people throw around.
Yeah.
Help me out a little bit. So let's say I'm hiring junior developers. So I have a CTO on board, And you mentioned culture. Culture is important, all that stuff. So I would ask a intelligent question as the CEO. Help me out a little.
If you have a CTO in place, the interview will be taken by him, and he will make the decision. So,
complete delegation.
Yeah, for the CTO.
Okay.
So if you have a co-founder who's technical, so that he will make the decision. You can have a values-based discussion with this person. So you will not consider him a developer when you're talking to him. You will have a human interview, but you will leave the technical assessment to the CTO and not interfere with it at all.
Thank you.
What's the biggest fuck up so far with this company?
There's so many. I can send you the list, but when we started, like I meet like Estonian IT leaders, and I was like, I will go to Pakistan and make high quality programming in Pakistan. Everybody thought we were crazy. Everybody thought we tried it. It will never work. Today we're the first company in Northern Europe who is doing high quality programming in this part of the world. But there was lots of problems. Like in the beginning, we needed to reprogram basically everything, like human level, like teaching punctuality. If 10 o'clock meeting starts, everybody's on a meeting at 10 o'clock, asking questions. If you don't understand, you ask questions. Like all these things in the beginning, it was really hard. But I think about like 8 months ago, I felt like now it's like we got it right. Now it will like take off. So
initially, I think the culture part came up with most fuck ups. I would say that Estonian people would be expecting something by default, and Pakistani people expect something by default as well, which is completely opposite. So if there's a 4:30 meeting, somebody has said let's meet at 4:30. Pakistani people by default think that it's at 5. It's a thing. Estonian people by default think it's at sharp 4:30, which is the right way to do it. But we had to manage these kind of gaps in the cultural thinking. And there were some good things about Pakistani culture as well, like expressing more in terms of talking. When you're talking, you express more. And then Estonian culture is just straightforward, to the point, not caring about the other person's emotional stance, what he will think. Like, you fucked up, go fix it. And then this person's life gets destroyed because nobody has ever talked to him in his whole life. So these are the kind of things that we dealt with initially. But we have 2 psychologists in the office in Pakistan. So one organizational psychologist, one clinical psychologist, who not only assesses people when they're coming in for the interviews and hiring, but also makes sure that people who are working in the company, they are happy. And if they have a problem, they can easily come up to them and talk about it. So we are kind of managing all these things, and now it's working.
Just leading on it, you personally said, treat programs as human beings. I'm not sure where that came from, but is that something that happens quite often, where programs are treated like inferior people? I've not seen it.
Not
so far.
inferior. It's more like a stigma or a stereotype attached. For example, when you talk about introverts, the mental picture that you have mind when you think about introverts, it's a shy person with earphones on and sitting in a corner. It's like the stigma attached to geeks and programmers. It's like they don't want to mingle, they want to stay in their own shell. They form simple colonies within themselves. So they distance themselves from non-technical people. So that's why I said like this part is the fun part of the presentation, because I exaggerated a bit about it. But usually, me as a programmer, I would prefer to hang out with programmers. And this makes kind of a divide automatically. So you have to forcefully mingle between the 2 domains, I would say.
I do like to hang out with you too.
Yeah, you do.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's the most fun thing, especially when you're starting up a business, maybe like the first half a year. It's always this catch-22 problem that in order to develop a better product, you need more money, but you can't get more money until you have better product. So And
Yeah.
you're starting a lot of businesses. I guess you have this experience happen often. Do you have any ways you normally have approached this question?
Yeah, like it's if you can find a technical co-founder, then you can do it for free in a way. But I think the trick is to build as little as possible. Like we have clients who, they build like for less than 10,000 euros, they build their product, and now they are going to investors and raising like good funding, and then you continue building it. So it's
Especially if it's not maybe a development product, an app, for example.
Yeah.
If it's more a physical product, and you also have like.
yeah,
printing
that's
and all
more
that.
complicated. Like I'm a software guy. I'm like, I don't know. Do you have any ideas how to?
I have people who fix
Yeah.
the hardware problems.
I'm sure in this building there's lots of people who can answer this question much better than we
You
can.
have
Yeah.
And how do you handle the quality control aspect of the code? I mean, you probably have 10 or 100 projects at the same time. You have to audit the code of each project, and maybe you are aware that you need some kind of quality code, but the code is in Karachi, have no idea, and you maybe have this scenario when you get a sloppy code and you have 100 projects to supervise at the same time. How do you handle that?
Okay, so there are two parts. One is that we are not managing 100 projects because we understand that the overhead of managing 100 projects is out of our control at this point at least, because you need again the product owners or the project managers, and at max they can handle like 5 projects at a time. Anything above that, fuck ups start to happen. So we at a time we try to manage the workload in a way that every project is given attention. Then there's a QA department, which every sprint of work goes through QA, bugs are fixed, and then they go to the client. So we needed to have a quality assurance department as well. Then there are senior developers whose job is basically to make sure that these developers are working in a better way. They're learning new things, they know these standards, and they're following the code standards. So it's the team evolves in a way that there are lead developers, and it's the lead developer's responsibility to make sure that the code quality is good, the deadlines are being met, and the features that are requested are done in the same way. So this is like, it's delegation of authority and responsibility. Our hierarchy is completely flat. All the people, they report to me directly. And I don't have anything that on a daily basis, I don't need to call them and see if they're working or not working. We have built this different kind of culture where there is no timings to come to work. So if you have work, you come, you work, you deliver on time. Commitments are valued rather than time spent. And as part of that commitment, the quality is number one commitment as well. So that needs to be met. And people meet those expectations. So it's beautiful in a way because nobody thinks, they try to solve a problem that doesn't exist. They're like, yes, we need to put this thumb scanning machine, everybody needs to be here at 9, and they're not allowed to leave before 6, we will deduct their salaries. So they're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist, that people will not do good work. But if you try this out, we've seen that it works. People take responsibility if you hire the right people. So the screening process is very strong when it comes to us. The recruitment process is very detailed. And these people want to do good work and they want to learn. And people who don't align with the culture, we don't hire them basically.
Maybe it's important to note that we scanned about like 150 applications for one hire. So it's coming to work to us, it's almost as complicated as going to work to Google. So we're like really picky with those people we bring to the team.
What about
I'm the one who deal with Pakistani programmers 5 years, and I'm happy about it. I like the speed, I like the price, I like the quality. So, but I'm growing. My apps, my programs are growing. What can you offer me, and why you are better than why programmers from Karachi is better than in Lahore? I have in Lahore.
I cannot
compare them. They're all Pakistanis, so it will be betraying Lahoris if I do that.
No, I mean, what is your product? What is your additional value than me? Like I'm a startupper dealing with the Pakistani programs straight.
Yeah, so it's from our side, we make sure that the service that we're providing is reliable. So not just reliability in terms of meeting the deadlines, but also that we will take care of the issues that you might face. So we have done this previously with many people. We have seen issues, we have fixed them, not just for that person, but in the culture as overall.
Okay.
So if you face issues with a developer directly, you have to deal with it. But with us, the value is the reliability factor, that you can talk to us, meet us, give feedback, and then it magically gets solved.
Still, I have that. All this magic I have, because I have also one Pakistani like you who is dealing that.
Mm-hmm.
But probably you with big 50 and in the end
50, yeah.
50. So probably you can offer me something better.
Then the scalability is, because if you need 10 developers in Estonia, it will take you 2 years to find 10 developers. With us, we can do it in a month or two. So the scalability of our operation is there, and obviously the price as well. Like we are not expensive, so we try to be reasonable.
Thank you. All what they told is true. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's true.
We have a believer.
Yeah. I started 5 years ago, and I was so lucky to meet Pakistani developers on one hackathon, and still we're together. So it wasn't easy. But it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you.
What about the technology and all this setup and architecture? Who decides on that? Is the client or is it you? Because all there is resources later used and stuff like this, it all ends up in the product costs.
Mm-hmm. So if it's a project, then basically we decide that. So we have architects in the team who make sure that this project is scalable and it can meet the needs of the client's business side. But if it's a resource model client, where the client is taking resources from us, so it's usually they already have a team, they already have a CTO architect in the team, and then this developer basically adds to the team as a scalability factor. So they make those decisions in-house.
How do you handle the IP and some sort of knowledge that is developed inside one team, and that the developer doesn't just take it to another project?
Yeah, like most of our simple answer is contracts, but most of our developers work full time for some client for a really long time, and then there's just contracts that transfer all the IP to.
So you have some sort of non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah. We work with some pretty large enterprises as well that we have gone through all these legal things in the beginning. So.
Yeah, and gone through fuck-ups as well.
Yeah. And if it's a project, then we take the responsibility of executing the project, and then we transfer all the IP to clients. Yeah, we're an Estonian company, so we're registered in Estonia. Okay, it looks like.
Do you have any other questions?
Like if somebody wants to talk one-on-one, then we are going to have a few drinks here and get around. So, and if somebody wants to come to visit our office, then you guys are welcome.
Anyways, I want to thank you also.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we still have some drinks left, some music. Thanks for coming, and see you at the next Tehnopol event, or as Harry and Owais said, your office is open, I guess.
Yeah, Metro Plaza.
Metro Plaza, cool.